Alright, welcome back guys. Brian Peacock back again. Growing Cannabis MD. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We're going to talk about germination of cannabis seeds today. Okay, we got some seeds here to choose from. We got tons of seeds. I got a whole ammunition box full of them. Seeds can be an addiction on just collecting them as much as growing them, so I will warn you on that, so be careful doing that. We're going to go into the germination. I've already did the video on types of seeds, what they do and all. The germination process. Cannabis seeds need to germinate between temperatures of like 65 to 85 degrees. Being 75 degrees is prime optimal temperatures to germinate cannabis seeds. If you're germinating in the wintertime, it can tend to be a little bit of a problem to keep your seeds above 65 degrees unless you keep them near the heater. Sometimes you can stick them on top of the refrigerator. Somewhere where it's going to be a little warmer and kept warm throughout the nights and things like that. You can also purchase seed warming mats. It's just a little, it's like a little heat mat that you would use for your back or your leg or something, sore muscles, but it's under a controlled temp just for seed germination. And it's allowed to be able to stay on constantly. So don't use a heat mat now, because heat mats get way too hot and they will burn your house down if you leave them on for 24 hours a day. Okay, so don't use heat mats. Only use a seed germinating heat mat, okay, if you are going to do that. Summertime, you don't need to do that, and as long as your temps are above like 65, 70 degrees, even throughout the nights, you probably won't need those heat mats, okay? But, you know, the wintertime you tend to do, I have a lot less germination rates in wintertime just for that reason. And I don't use mats, the heat mats. I probably should get one for the wintertime. And I probably will, and I'll show you guys when I do get one of those. But I don't have one at the moment, so I apologize. But you can look those up, Amazon, look them up, Walmart, all kinds of places. Anywhere that sells, you know, growing supplies, nurseries and stuff online, and some of the stores around probably have them as well. Lowe's, Home Depot, things like that. So but yeah, you need to keep them at you know, 70, 75 degrees is optimal. That's prime. Seeds usually take about 3 to 7 days to germinate and pop up and break through the shell. There are several ways that you can germinate your seeds. The first way that I learned how to germinate seeds was to put your seeds in a paper towel and wet the paper towel, not like soak it, but like just wet the paper towel. Put it in a baggie, stick it underneath your bed or in a closet in a dark space. For about 3 days, 4 days. Take it out, check it, see if the seed popped open and if you have a taproot coming out. If you do have a taproot coming out, then you take it, you unfold the paper towel, you carefully get it out without touching. Make sure you wash your hands good. Germs are very detrimental to seedlings, okay? Bacteria can form, infections can kill small plants very quickly. So make sure you have sterile hands, maybe use gloves if you want to, or at least wash your hands, use alcohol swab or something, just to kill the bacteria. So take that seed that has the taproot out, and then you can either wait until that seed comes all the way out of the husk of the seed. Sometimes they need a little help to get that husk off. They'll get stuck. If it stays stuck, it'll die. So sometimes you need to help it very carefully without breaking those two colloidal leaves that they start out with. If you break those leaves off, you're done deal. The plant won't photosynthesize, and it won't be able to create energy for the root systems. So you take that and then you plant that into some potting soil or seed starting mix. Here's just a brand that I have online. I got at the box store, probably I got it at Walmart or Home Depot or something. Jiffy brand works great for seed starting mix. I love this mix to death. It's really good, but it's kind of expensive because they only sell it in this little bag. Seed starter, you can't get a big bag of it. If you want something in a big bag to start seeds with, and being in Maryland, you're not going to be able to start too many because you can only grow 2 plants. But if you're going to use it for your vegetable garden or whatnot, like I do, you can buy stuff called Pro Mix soils, and it's mainly peat moss and cocoa coir mix. It doesn't have any kind of nutrients in it. It does have some mushroom mycelium helpful in there, and mushroom mycelium is really good for your plants. We'll get into all that again later. But has no fertilizers or anything like that. You want to stay away from fertilizers when seeds are small. They don't need food. They don't need anything. They just need to get their taproot started. And their coiota leaves are the first 2 sets of leaves that come out. Coiota leaves. I'll put that right here. I don't know if I'm saying it right. So here it is. The coiota leaves. They are the first ones that come out. And then after those, you'll get your first true set of leaves. Okay. Once the seedlings get their first true set of leaves is when I start fertilizing my seedlings, and I only do that at like 1/4 strength of what the fertilizer calls for normally. They don't need a lot at first. You want to gradually build their food, gradually build their light, gradually build everything. They're very susceptible to breaking the stem. They're very flimsy. They're very easy to kill when they're young. So let them get them true leaves on there before you start giving any kind of fertilizers. Okay. So that was the first way I started germinating, in paper towels in a baggie shoved under the bed or in a closet somewhere for a couple of days until they pop, and then I'd throw them. And I usually use like cups. Solo cups work better than these clear ones because you really don't want light going into where your roots are. Light can kill your roots. So, but they don't stay in these very long until we transplant them into the big ones anyway. So, but yeah, I would use the, this Jiffy seed starting mix. And this is like really light, fluffy stuff. Doesn't have any perlite in it, but it's basically probably just peat moss, I would imagine. It's probably really fine, strained out peat moss. You don't want to start seeds in anything like garden soil, anything that has big pieces of wood and sticks and bark and things like that. You do not want to start seeds and stuff like that, okay? And you don't want to transplant your seedlings into soil like that either. If you're going to be growing in pots or containers, and you're going to be growing indoors, you're going to need to use a potting soil, not garden soil, not raised bed soil, potting soil with lots of perlite. All right, perlite are those little tiny white looking styrofoam ball things that you see in potting soil and plants, and those add air and help drain the soil so the water doesn't stay in there and swamp and drown your roots. Okay, so the second way to germinate seeds is you can just fill up a cup. Like I said, I usually use solo cups, but I don't have a solo cup right now. I just have some of these clear cups. So you want to kind of just tamp it down a little bit. You want to wet this soil first, get this all nice and damp and wet. You want to poke 3 holes in the bottom of this with a pencil or something, just to have 3 holes in there so your water can drain. You can plant your seed right in the middle, about a ½ inch to an inch down in the soil. Cover, tap lightly, don't compress very hard. Water a little bit, do not overwater. Keep it moist. You can actually put a baggie over this, or you can put something to cover over this just so your moisture stays in and doesn't leave. Check it after 3 or 4 days. See if the seedling has popped up through the soil. Remember, keep it around 70-75 degrees and you'll be good. I do this still a lot to this day. I will start seeds this way a lot of times. I start a lot of my vegetable garden in this way. And I use solo cups and not small cells because the cannabis tap roots that they push out are about 4 to 6 inches long, and you don't want that tap root to really turn and curl and get root bound really fast. So you want that tap root to have room to grow down. So make sure you fill this cup up so that tap root has that 4 inches to get started before we transplant into our bigger containers. All right, so that's just soil. This is just a seed starting mix soil way of germinating. Really easy way of germinating. Again, don't use any fertilizers. No liquid fertilizers, no pellet fertilizers. Don't use soils that have fertilizers already in them for seed starting. Okay, only use seed starting soils to start your seeds with if you're going to do it this way. All right, third way, and I use this way still to this day with my cannabis seeds now. I put distilled water in here, okay, and I will put probably about half full distilled water, and then I will use a teaspoon of peroxide, and I will put in there as well. Peroxide is an antifungal, antibacterial, and all it is a hydrogen, one extra hydrogen atom as water. So it's pretty much water with an extra hydrogen atom connected to it. That's what hydrogen peroxide is. It fights bacteria and it fights fungus, and it's really good stuff, and it's cheap. It's probably about $2 a bottle, Family Dollar, you know, give or take. It used to be $1, but with prices increasing, it's gotten a little more now. But you know, peroxide is great for your garden. It's great to fight bacterial infections, blights, molds, powdery mildews, soil problems in your bacteria and your soils. Peroxide is a really good thing to have in your gardening. So we're going to be talking about peroxide a lot later on in some other videos. But a teaspoon of peroxide, half a cup of water, distilled water. You could use tap water as well, but everybody's tap water is different, and some people's tap water is harder than others. Some have buffers in them to where the pHs are out. pH is another very important part in growing any kind of plants, and we're going to do another whole video just on pH later on down the road, so look out for that one too. So we got that pH, the peroxide, and the water, and we're going to make sure that you write what it is on, label them, keep them labeled. Make sure you label everything, that way you know what it is and you don't forget. Don't say I'm going to remember, because I promise you sooner or later you're not going to remember what you got. Growing only 2 plants, you might be able to remember, but it's always best to label everything, keep everything labeled, and keep everything straight. That way, if you do like that one, if you do succeed really well with that strain, if you know, you just really like that strain, you can remember what that is and continue to produce it. So you're going to stick the, just drop the seed in the water, cover it, stick it in a cabinet in a dark place somewhere, 3 to 4 days. Check it every day until that seed pops open. Once the seed pops open, the taproot comes out. We're going to do the same thing as we did with the paper towel and baggie. We're going to go ahead and remove the water. We're going to carefully take out that the seedling that has popped with that taproot, and then we're going to fill a solo cup up with this seed starting mix again, and make sure it's wet first. Don't put it in dry soil, okay? And we're just going to place the taproot aiming straight down, and just cover just over top of the seed there and let it come up. Again, you may need to help that little hull of the seed off once it comes up. Sometimes they come off, sometimes they get stuck. And that depends on the humidity in the environment as the seedlings are growing. So let's talk about after they germinate and turn into your seedlings. Like I said before, your seedlings will have your seedlings will have two little oval leaves that come out first, and they are called the cotyledon leaves. Those are the starter leaves that start the energy into the photosynthesis that starts the root growth. Once your taproot grows, you'll get the true leaves pop open. You'll have usually one leaf on both sides at first. Then you'll have a set of 3 leaves. Then you'll have a set of 5 leaves. And then the number of fingers on your leaf depends on genetics, variety, and you know, how happy they are, and how you take care of them too. So they're really not important on how many fingers you get on there. Like I was saying, you want to fertilize after you get the true leaves. I do half strength or quarter strength, and normally I only just use like a fish emulsion fertilizer. I personally use, it's called Alaska Fish Emulsion Fertilizer. You can buy it at Walmart and Home Depot, online, Amazon, things like that. It's just it's a organic fish crap, slime. It stinks, it's nasty, it's brown, it really stinks really bad. And I only use maybe like a half a teaspoon in a gallon of water to water my seedlings with it. It's very minute, not a lot at all. Seedlings don't need a lot of fertilizer at first. That stuff is pretty safe. It's really hard to burn your plants up with that. It's organic, it's natural. On fertilizers, you will always see 3 numbers. The first number always being your nitrogen, the second number always being your phosphorus, and your third number always being your potassium or your potash. And those 3 things do different things for your plants. So seedlings, you want to keep that first nitrogen higher than the rest. You can do an even balanced fertilizer as well. A balanced fertilizer would just be the same number all the way down, like a 1-1-1, 5-5-5, 10-10-10, 20-20-20. And those numbers are higher on the concentrate of the fertilizer. So if you have a 1-1-1, it's a light fertilizer. If you have a 20-20-20, there's 20 times the amount in a dose as there is to the 1-1-1, if that makes any sense. So it's just the concentration in the mix of that fertilizer. So those are your primary fertilizers, your main ones, and then you have your micro fertilizers and your macro fertilizers as well. We'll get into all the fertilizers again in another video, okay? I'm not going to give everything out at once. So yep, that's your germination and your seedling care. All right, I appreciate you watching, guys. We got a lot of videos coming. Make sure you share this group, this channel, with everybody that you know who smokes, who uses medical, who wants to learn to grow. I promise you, growing cannabis at home is not the easiest as you think it is. Sure, you can plant a seed and just let it do its thing, and you can get some good results that way, but pushing it in the right direction, you can get way better results, and I'm here to help you guys do that. All right, appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, share, comment, We'll see you next time.